Jen, please tell us something about yourself.
Ma'am, my name is Dhruv and I'm from Delhi. I was schooled throughout at Tagore International School, Vasant Vihar, New Delhi. Thereafter, I went to IIT Delhi and I did a BTech in Textile Technology. Thereafter, I went to Delhi University to FMS, Faculty of Management Studies, and I did an MBA in Marketing and HR. And for a brief while, I pursued PhD at FMS. I could not complete it because of
PhD at?
At FMS, ma'am, Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi, in cross-cultural and global management. But I could not complete that because of financial reasons. I moved to a job with CBEC, Central Board of Excise and Customs.
First, you went to the Provident Fund.
No, ma'am, that was my latest job.
Oh, I see. You were first in Central Excise.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you moved to Accounts, Employees Provident Fund.
Yes, ma'am. And in between, I was at FMS for a PhD. I could not complete that because of financial reasons. I did not have a JRF at that time.
Can you explain what happened exactly? I mean, financial reasons. Why did you move from one to the other?
Yes, ma'am. I moved to PhD from Central Excise because I was keen on pursuing research, having teaching as a profession, but teaching is very dear to me. I find it very interesting and it's a very cathartic process for me. But I did not have a JRF at that point of time, UGC Net JRF. I had appeared for the exam, but the result arrived when I had already joined EPFO 2 days after that.
I see. So, why did you leave the Central Excise? Because you wanted to
pursue PhD as well as lack of growth prospects, ma'am. The prospects were quite slow. My boss at CBEC, my superintendent, he got promoted in 22 years from inspector to superintendent. So that was not a demotivating factor, but I got through PhD, so that's why I quit. Otherwise, I was not.
I see. So tell me, this post of deputy director that you're applying for, what does it imply?
Ma'am, it's a group A post. It's a level 10 job. It is the officer level entry with ESIC, Employees State Insurance Corporation, and it is a parallel with the APFC at EPFO.
No, the post you're applying for now.
Yes, ma'am.
Which one are you appearing for?
Deputy director, ma'am. D.
A deputy director in the same organization?
No, ma'am. In ESIC, I was with EPFO.
Okay. Yes, I see.
Yes, ma'am.
I see. All right. So then again, it will be basically an accounts kind of thing.
Yes, ma'am. Not limited to accounts, but accounts will play a major role in that.
Okay.
Compliance will be the major role and responsibility as far as DD is concerned. Compliance of ESI Act.
What was your subject in the IIT?
Textile, ma'am. Textile technology.
Oh yes, you told me. I'm sorry. So tell me, why is it that India has fallen so far behind Bangladesh in exports of textile materials?
Ma'am, primarily it is because of cost. The cost of labor in Bangladesh is much less as compared to India. First is that. Second, the working conditions in the laws in India are much more stringent, whereas in Bangladesh they are not as stringent as India, and it's mostly because of cost. And but now Bangladesh is losing out to Vietnam. Bangladesh is not the only largest exporter of textiles. Vietnam is soon catching up, and there are many other countries where the labor is cheap.
I see. Okay. We hear that Bangladesh is, in fact, their GDP per head
Yes, ma'am.
is much better now than India's.
Yes.
Can you tell me why?
Ma'am, there are many reasons for that. There are social reasons as well. Bangladesh has done very well as far as women empowerment is concerned. They have also done a lot for the minority community, the Hindus and the Buddhists in Bangladesh, and they have caught up with their strengths. They have in fact done very well as far as the textile sector is concerned, as far as the exports are concerned, as far as the fisheries are concerned, and as far as manufacturing is concerned.
Do you think that has anything to do with the gender of their leader?
To a certain extent, yes, ma'am. Yes.
So what would you think about the proposal to make the Lok and Rajya Sabha 33% women?
So my take on that would be, if there is reservation for women, there's already reservation at the lower level, at the panchayat level and the councillor level in the cities. But if we have reservation at the MLA and the MP level, I think that will be a good step towards empowering women, towards better policy formulation in favor of women, and towards strengthening of women.
Do you think that the Panchayati 33% reservation has been helpful, or is it just a question of the woman putting in front and the actual thing being run by the husband?
Actually, in quite a lot of states, it's 50% in fact. Bihar, I suppose it's 50% for the ladies. Many a times, the husbands or the brothers are the proxies to their women, to their wives or to their sisters. And we have even sons, grown-up sons acting as the sarpanch, whereas their mother is only a signatory. At times, yes, for example, in the Panchayat series, season 1 and 2, Neena Gupta played a sarpanch, whereas all the work used to be handled by Raghuvir Yadav, her husband. So, to a certain extent, yes, but in that particular series as well, it was shown that still she learned how to recite the national anthem, and she learned how to hoist the national flag. I mean, she was completely illiterate. So, it was definitely a better move for the society of the rural populace when she was the sarpanch, because she had more of
that is a film. So what do you think has happened in actual fact?
Actually, yes, they have become proxies of their husbands or their brothers or their sons, but to a certain extent there have been better performances as far as sanitation is concerned, as far as prohibition in terms of alcohol is concerned, and as far as women's issues are concerned. A girl child's education as well as other issues pertaining to females have been dealt with in a better manner.
Right. Thank you.
So, just one thing that strikes us.
You're talking about that serial Panchayat.
Yes, sir.
It didn't end with Neena Gupta in a bad situation.
Yes. So actually.
Yeah, but it is something to be seen, should be seen by everyone.
Yes.
But it's still Panchayat. It's still continuing, so we don't know how it's going to pan out finally.
Panchayat?
Yeah. But he's right. It starts off like that. She's the proxy for the husband.
No, but in the end,
But then she then takes over charge gradually.
in the end,
But she learned the national anthem. She has a tough time remembering the national anthem. Completely illiterate, and she had never moved out of the.
Dominated by men.
Exactly.
Had no this thing. It was a very sad situation.
She could not even sign.
She wins the race.
Yes.
But why speak of Panchayat only? There have been instances of chief ministers also.
Yes.
Yes.
No, he mentioned Panchayat
Yeah.
because it's something worth seeing.
And in the end of that series, where DM ma'am comes on the Independence Day, and she appreciates her that she is able to recite the national anthem and she is able to hoist it on her own. Earlier, she was reluctant in doing so. So, Mr. Yadav did that to her husband. But she actually does that in front of DM ma'am.
Exactly.
Okay, then one thing that strikes me immediately
Yes.
is the fact that you're IIT graduate, you're FMS, two extremely iconic institutions in the country. The world was open to you. Why Deputy Director ESIC?
So actually my aim was civil services at the outset. I could not get through civil services. I tried for CAPF, Central Armed Police Forces, also through UPSC. I got rejected because of height, because of 1 centimeter. I fell short of height by 1 centimeter. I had cleared that exam. I had cleared many other exams. I cleared UPSC, EPFO, AO exam, but I could not clear civil services. So this is a Group A post, Deputy Director, and I believe it's a good opportunity for me to serve people in whatever capacity I can, because I have seen APFCs, Assistant Commissioners in EPFO, doing great work and doing path-breaking work, in fact.
Yeah, but after IIT, FMS, wouldn't you have thought that private sector is the one which should be
Yes, sir. So
giving you
Initially,
good salaries and
yes.
at the time of placement,
companies?
I got placed in HDFC Bank in a marketing role after FMS, but I did not join that because I was always keen on civil services and government services. That was because at IIT Delhi, I had enrolled for some courses at NRCVE, which is National Resource Center for Value Education in Engineering. So I had pursued those courses, and my inclination was always towards villages and rural development. So I was keen on civil services as a profession, but I could not get through civil services.
Okay. So, one more question. I see that you're fond of music, especially
Yes, sir.
Jagdish Singh. Which songs of his you like?
Many of them, sir.
Tell me.
होश वालों को खबर क्या बेखुदी क्या चीज़ है. I will not be able to sing that. Maybe I'm not very good at singing, but I remember the
Which film
song.
was it from?
सरफरोश. My favorite movie, sir.
And which other songs do you like?
तेरे आने की जब खबर महके, तेरी खुशबू से सारा घर महके, तेरे बारे में सोचा नहीं था, मैं तन्हा था मगर इतना नहीं था. And there are many other things. अपनी मर्जी से कहाँ, then we have हाथ छूटे भी तो रिश्ते नहीं तोड़ा करते. And ज़िंदगी यूं हुई बसर तन्हा, काफिला साथ पर सफ़र तन्हा.
Okay, fine.
Many.
So what is Jagdish Singh's contribution to the genre of ghazal in the country?
So he has popularized ghazals amongst the common man.
How will he do that?
He has a very
The Begum Akhtar before him.
Yes.
What did she do that he did?
In fact, I have not listened to Begum Akhtar's songs. I listened to Jagjit Singh as well as Ghulam Ali, as well as there are many other Pakistani contemporaries these days, Farhan Saeed and Misha Shafi, and there are many people who are doing great in the field of music.
So Jagdish Singh's single contribution is that he made ghazals more accessible to the public.
Yes, sir, especially to the youth.
Short ghazals, very simple language,
Right.
modern orchestration, so that it becomes easy to listen.
And he explains in between
Yes.
कि ये गज़ल वसीम बरेलवी साहब की है, and he explains अगला शेर मैं बीवियों के लिए कह रहा हूँ. He says that.
See, you are applying for this. You have been selected for this job in
Yes.
UPS.
Yes.
Okay. You are a product of FMS, IIT. What were the subjects in the exam?
In this particular exam, so it was marketing, HR, finance, then computer knowledge, computer applications, and current affairs, and economics. In this particular recruitment test,
Yeah.
we had this, and in fact, we had a question where it was mentioned who was the music composer of the movie Dar, Shah Rukh Khan's Dar.
The answer?
The answer was, I suppose, Pandit Sharma.
You heard of Shiv Hari
Yes.
Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma.
and Hari Prasad Chaurasia.
Hari Prasad Chaurasia, sir. Yes, sir.
Actually, since you are familiar with the current affairs,
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask a question to you. Quite often, reference is made to soft power. It is quite different. I mean, it's different from power. Power which is associated with some kind of force, some way of domination,
Dominance.
position.
Yes.
So, what is soft power?
So, soft power is actually an intangible power which does not pertain to your military strength or to the tangible strengths. It pertains to sports, it pertains to culture, it pertains to your informal dominance at the world scene. For example, India hosted Commonwealth Games in 2010. It was being purported that India would be a game changer for India's soft power at the world stage. Though it was not a game changer, but still it did improve India's standing vis-a-vis other countries at the world level. And for example, Qatar, there was a football World Cup a couple of months back, 1 month back at Qatar. So Qatar has emerged as a new destination as far as sports are concerned. Otherwise, Qatar being a tiny sheikhdom in the Middle East had not much to do with football. So it is they who have emerged as a force to be reckoned with at the world scenario, as a cultural power and as a sports power, where their team has go a long way as far as the World Cup is concerned, but still they have emerged as a major player at the global level as far as sports is concerned.
So, do you think India is a superpower in soft power?
No, sir, not superpower, but India is definitely a force to be reckoned with. India is definitely a power, but not a superpower. We still have a long way to go, but the Olympics we had a few months back, the athletes, sorry?
Olympics?
Yes, sir. The Olympic Games in 2021,
Oh, 21.
last year, 1.5 years back,
Okay.
1 year back. So our athletes did very well, and we had many people from diverse sports doing very well and winning different kinds of medals and bringing laurels for our country. So that, but we have a long way to go as far as catching up with China and the US, even Australia is concerned.
Okay. And can you just throw some light on the other current development, concerning, let's say, discussion about the role of governors? See, for instance, what happened in Tamil Nadu. The governor skipped a para from the address prepared by the state government and accepted by the government. So, do you think it was in contravention of the constitution?
Yes, to a certain extent, yes. So that's because the role of the governor is not to use his discretion as far as these speeches are concerned. He does have discretionary powers, but he should not be able to ride roughshod over the elected people, the elected MLAs and the elected chief minister. And he can have personal affiliations or personal opinions of any kind. Everybody has. But it should not become a political battle in that kind of a situation, and it should not lead to an ugly situation, which it did. I think I'm not affiliated to any political party, and but I suppose Mr. Stalin, he managed the scene very gracefully. He suspended one of his MLAs for bad mouthing the governor. From their side, I suppose the actions were just, but the governor walking out after missing out on the para, I think that was not the way it should have been. There could have been better ways. There could have been polite references to if he was not agreeing to that, but it should not have become a political battle. It should not become an ideological battle at that stage. So it leads to a very, a very bad scene. It creates a very bad scene.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
What do you think of the Rohingya problem?
Yes, sir. So the Rohingyas are the Bengalis. They are referred to as Bengalis from Myanmar, and it has actually become a very political tool in the hands of many politicians. They claim that the Rohingyas claim that they are Bengali Muslims from the Rakhine state of Myanmar, whereas Myanmar says that they are not Burmese or they are not Myanmaris, they are Bengalis or Bangladeshis. And Bangladesh refuses to resettle them in their country, saying that they are actually from the Rakhine state, they are not from Bengal, or they are not from Bangladesh. So they are seeking refuge elsewhere. They are seeking refuge in India, they are in Pakistan, and even in the Middle East. But it has actually become a very political thing, their rehabilitation. It has taken a religious turn, the Rohingyas. I believe, the refugees, irrespective of their religion or irrespective of their political affiliations, the countries do have a responsibility towards them on a humanitarian scale. Their religion or their community should not be the deciding factor whether they have to be rehabilitated or not. At first, I suppose they have to be rehabilitated, and then talks can be carried on with their home country, with their parent country, and amicably situations can be managed. But I believe it has...
You would be in favor of the Rohingyas as far as possible being resettled in the areas of Assam and these areas in India?
So it's a very tricky situation because many refugees from various other communities have settled in the northeast and have created a lot of friction. Be it Tripura, be it Arunachal, and be it Mizoram, there have been many non-tribal communities being settled in these states, or from other religions as compared to the tribal or the animistic religions being settled in those areas and creating rifts with the local population. And there have been many agreements as well. The Brews and the...
Why can't they follow a very strict policy, throw them out?
So, but on a humanitarian scale, probably it will not be a very good idea.
But then India will suffer.
So
Like
India
Europe is suffering.
Right, they are suffering, but
What is happening in Sweden and all these European countries?
they are sheltering refugees from Turkey and even from North Africa and various other countries, from Greece.
So they are suffering in Europe. So we will suffer the Rohingyas, do we? What do you think?
To a certain extent, yes, sir, but still they are not throwing them out. They are.
There should be.
I don't think so, sir. I
We
believe,
should allow them to settle down in India.
sir, there should be proper
And
policies.
probably give them citizenship.
Not citizenship, sir. Not citizenship.
Refugee status.
Probably yes, sir. Probably yes, but not citizenship. Because this citizenship issue has been a very political one in the northeast. Various communities from Bangladesh and from Myanmar and from various other regions have settled there and have created a lot of conflict with the local tribal populations. If we consider Arunachal Pradesh, many of the Hindus have settled from Bangladesh in Arunachal Pradesh in the 1960s. So when they were rehabilitated, the tribals now allege that they used to be in a majority and now the Hindus are in a majority in a lot of villages in Arunachal Pradesh.
Okay. Now let's shift. South China Sea.
Yes.
What do you think of China's claim over Taiwan? Because they claim that this is one of our principal territories, which has been following Sun Yat-sen and Chiang Kai-shek, this moved out, and still it is our territory. What do you think? Are the Chinese right? Are the Taiwanese right? Is Nancy Pelosi right? Who's right? What is happening in the China space?
So it's a very complicated story, the Taiwan issue.
What do you think now? What should be done? We are having all the exercises in that strait with Japan.
Military
and everyone
exercises.
showing their strength and everything.
Yes, sir.
India is also a part of that.
Military exercise.
Yes.
Yes.
So what I feel is that since Taiwan, the people who moved to Taiwan, they had a different ideology as compared to the CPC of China. They had a non-communist ideology. That is why they escaped to Taiwan and they established a parallel government over there and they established their own state over there. Whereas China's ideology has always been a communist one.
But there are two parties in Taiwan. One is following the Chinese ideology. One is following the Taiwanese ideology.
They have completely different market orientations.
So it's a mess.
It is, in fact, it is.
It's a nuclear mess.
To a certain extent, yes. But Taiwan, as far as their exports are concerned, as far as their industries are concerned, they have done very well as compared to China.
They will destroy the world if the chip industry goes out.
They already are, sir. They already are to a certain
So a
extent.
small nation
Yes.
grows so powerful that the economy is literally, they rule the world in this area. Why is India lagging behind?
There are many reasons to it, sir. Taiwan, from a very early date, from the 1960s or the 1970s, they had ventured into manufacturing and into exporting. Whereas India had different priorities and different compulsions at that point of time. And India had different resources. Agreed, India has much more resources as compared to Taiwan, much more population and much more natural resource as well. Whereas Taiwan has practically none or few. But still Taiwan had ventured out into industry and into manufacturing.
They
So
can still show muscle to China.
they already do, sir. They already do.
What do you think of Ladakh? There are claims in the newspapers every day. You read the Hindu says, okay, they have taken so much of territory
The
and
Chinese.
we can't. And there is some government committee itself stating that no, we have lost so many patrolling points, 29 out of 65 or whatever numbers they are talking of.
Yes.
What's happening? Why is this shadow game boxing going on?
So it's actually
Within the country, forget about the Chinese, but they will keep doing whatever they are doing.
So it's actually a show of strength by the Chinese military. They want to prove their dominance on the world scale. That's because Putin has attacked Ukraine. So maybe Mr. Xi Jinping feels that it is the time to flex his muscles and to prove that he has arrived and China has arrived on the world scene, world scenario, and their century of humiliation, which is dished out to the people, that China has been humiliated for the past century. It is maybe a populist measure. He's trying to gain.
But are the newspaper reports credible that we have lost patrolling points?
Could be, sir. Could be. Maybe the Chinese have moved further into the LAC and the reports could be right, sir.
So should the government not disclose it to the Indian public?
I believe they do, sir. They should disclose it. but maybe for political compulsions and for other reasons, and it might expose the gaps in the military preparations. That's why they are not conveying it.
Last query. You talk of mentoring
Yes, sir.
in your.
My hobbies.
What do you mean by mentoring?
So
Mentoring whom? Mentoring what?
Yes.
Mentoring why?
So at present, I'm mentoring students and I'm preparing them for IBPS exams.
Which is that?
IBPS exams, banking exams. I have quit EPFO more than a year back, and now I teach students for a marketing officer exam, specialist officer marketing, as well as for PO exam. So coaching refers to training them for one particular exam, be it PO, be it SO, be it any other exam. Whereas mentoring has a long-term perspective. Mentoring means getting them into a particular frame of mind and preparing them for the future, not only for one particular job or one particular job assignment, but as a long-term perspective.
What are you doing in this mentoring courses?
So I teach them how to prepare for the exam, for the PO and for the marketing officer exam.
That is for the particular exam.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise you're saying that for the long-term mentoring you do
So
something.
that I do since my IIT days. Many juniors used to rush to me, brother, could you please guide me about the courses we should opt for? So I always used to guide them regarding the courses they should choose, and I never used to force them or goad them into taking courses, and I used to convince them that what priorities you have, what strengths you have, what weaknesses you have, you should opt for those courses.
Thank you.
Dhruv, what were you doing between 2012 and 15?
MBA, sir.
15 में join किया ना?
No, sir. 15 में I completed my MBA from FMS. 16 I joined Central Excise. 17 I left Central Excise and pursued PhD for around 6 months. And 1st Jan 2018 I joined EPFO. And I quit EPFO on 1st September 2021.
What are you seeking in life?
So, doing good job, being happy and making an impact, and actually bringing an impact on the people who matter. That is why I moved to mentoring and coaching students.
No, because you quit one job, then you again quit a job.
Yes, sir.
For 1 year you've been coaching, mentoring, now you're looking back at getting into a government job.
So the reason why I quit EPFO was that the previous batch of accounts officers or the enforcement officers,
Then, yeah,
they got promoted in 20 years. Central Excise superintendent got promoted in 21 years, and the AO people, the AO of the 1999 batch at EPFO, they got promoted in 2019 after 20 years. I still continued for more than 3.5 years, but it was a very difficult decision to make whether I should quit that job or not. And I decided to move to coaching and mentoring. And in the meanwhile, I had filled the form for deputy director at ESIC. Though I do not regret leaving EPFO, but definitely joining a Group A job would make sense. And now since I'm a family man, and I'm sure definitely it will be a good decision and I will stick to it.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, if you just wait outside, Dhruv, and we will call you back to give you the feedback. We just discussed it. So, Dhruv, how do you think the interview went?
I feel it was quite good. It could have been better.
How come? In which way?
Maybe I had not memorized the answers, sir. People tend to memorize what will be asked and what we are. I had not memorized the.
Is that a good thing to memorize?
It's not a good.
It depends, sir. Many people pull it off if they memorize.
Is it a good thing or not? You forget whether it works or not. Is it a good thing?
Probably not, sir.
Then why do you think it was deficient because you hadn't memorized it?
when you रटाया आंसर देने से कैसे better हो सकता है? It can never be better.
Because many a time that does backfire. When you memorize it blindly. I never memorized that.
Okay. You are a very good candidate, excellent candidate, and I'm sure you'll make it. Couple of small things. One is the tie is lovely, but it's not appropriate.
For an
Stick
interview.
to a single color or
Sure.
a subdued stripe or something. Okay. The other thing is knock. May I come in? Come in. Wait for the chairperson to ask you to sit. Then you say, may I sit? Then you sit. Okay. Don't just come in and sit down there. Okay, very minor things. The other thing is sit straight. You're slouching a bit. We found you very confident, good opinion, well thought out, good knowledge. The only question that they may be a little doubtful about is why you have changed jobs so often, but I think you explained it adequately, so we will be, I think that will not be a problem. Now, I'll ask my colleagues.
I think that's one area which needs to be focused on as to why you shifted jobs so frequently. And of course, our hope is that you will not stick to this job.
I will.
And 5 years later, we should again be conducting a mock interview for your other thing that you applied for.
I will stick, sir.
Right, so that's one. Secondly, your reply that it took 19 years to get promoted and therefore you had to quit. Now, did you know these things before you joined the thing?
Not exactly, sir.
For 3 years you didn't know?
So I knew, but I could not decide whether I should move on or not. I mean, I could not clear civil services. I could not get into CAPF. So I had no other option available. So when I decided I'll be able to do well as far as coaching is concerned, I quit. And it was a matter of chance that this exam turned up and I...
Have you checked on ESIC now? Whether deputy director
Yes.
and director will take 5 years or 20 years?
Not 20, sir, around 10 years.
You checked that now?
Yes, sir.
They become insurance commissioners.
Yeah, I have nothing to say. You are an excellent candidate.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
I'll be surprised if you don't make it.
Thank you so much, sir.
And don't memorize your answers. The way you applied was very good.
Already.
Or change it.
You're spontaneous, you're genuine, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so
Now,
much.
do you have anything to ask us?
To a certain extent, yes. Ma'am, shall I place my hands in this fashion or is it fine?
On your knees is best.
Okay.
And this is also okay.
I think that's okay also.
It's
I
okay.
mean,
Whatever you are comfortable with.
Yeah.
Thing is comfort. And don't do up your jacket. Just leave it open. Then you don't have to fumble with opening and closing and opening and closing. It's just sit.
And the diet.
The tie is very nice, but it's not appropriate.
Definitely, ma'am. I was actually being skeptical whether to wear this tie or not, but I thought maybe
It's just attractive.
It's a very attractive.
No, he probably knew they were going to ask him questions on Taiwan and China.
No, I have not aimed at that.
but I find it very, I mean, it's
And the nicest thing about this interview is the way you were able to build a rapport with us
Thank you.
and talk to us as if we were friends rather than, interview board. Okay? So keep that up. That will be very, very helpful for you.
How do you think we should improve?
I don't think so, sir. There's any scope of improvement.
For us? No,
You can't improve very further?
that's a politically correct answer.
Not in my opinion, sir.
One thing, you have a tendency to give a reply to a question which is asking your opinion. You give your opinion and then you back off a little and say, well, maybe. So perhaps you might not like to do that. Just stick to your opinion.
Stick to it.
If the person on the other side doesn't agree with you, then you say, sir, this is what I know from what I think. You're correct. If I know more, I will probably change my mind. Something like that.
That's because many a time the people who guide the candidates for the interview, they say that avoid taking sharp positions on issues.
That's right.
That's because if you take sharp positions, somebody from the right or from the left might have divergent views as compared to you. So they say that they might not agree with you. So
correct.
they say a middle path is the safest path.
Yeah.
Middle path with a substantial backing.
That's right. Correct. That is the way to do it.
Middle path, mein you'll get middle marks.
You know what happens when you sit on the fence, huh? What happens?
Sorry, sir?
When you sit on the fence, what happens? You
It's okay.
get poked in the wrong place, huh?
See, I think when they say don't take sharp positions, it basically means that you shouldn't sound as if, this is the position and that is it.
My way or the highway.
My way or highway.
Yeah.
That sometimes is also perfectly, So, wo nahi hona chahiye, but that doesn't mean that you don't have a view and you can keep that view and say, okay, this is my view and you may have your, and internally also you are thinking like that this is my view, you may have another view.
You have 10 people, you have 10 views, there's no issue.
There's no issue, but but
Don't
going
make
here and there,
whichever view it is, don't make it political. See, this is what I know, sir, and I stand corrected. This is what I know from the newspaper. When I know more, maybe I will change my view.
I don't really believe
I am not too sure about government interviews, but in the private sector, you would be grilled for the number of changes that have happened. So,
Yeah,
that is
it
something
does,
that you should
it
be
does.
very, very clear about.
So the reason.
Don't be apologetic,
Yes.
but you need to be very clear about it. It does reflect confusion, definitely. I also run an exec search firm, so I mean, it does
So, but-
reflect.
So, but moving from a Group B job, that was a 4600 grade pay job, inspector. AO was 4800.
Karnai itself was a. Well, after this thing, how did you join that? Why did you join that? Etc.
You can say I had financial requirements.
I actually had.
You have to say so.
Must say
See, I
that.
needed a job urgently, so I joined without completely checking because I needed it at the point. Don't worry about it. I have a colleague who's changed jobs 3 times. Started as an inspector, then he became my service, then he became IFS. So don't worry about it. It happens.
And usually the panel is very appreciative of the person clearing many government exams. People say that it is a deterrent कि आप हमेशा change कर लेते हैं group B से दूसरी.
That's what he was saying.
But at the other end of the spectrum, they are appreciative of the person that he has cleared so many exams.
No, so intellect is not in question. Intellect or capability is never in question. It is the aptitude and your thought as to what are you seeking in life. That is at question.
lack of stability in your job selection.
We select you after 2 years. यार ये तो पता नहीं क्यों select हो गया मतलब गड़बड़ कर दिया.
So Group A job is too big a job to let go these days. I mean, I see MTech and MBA people vying for Group C and Group D jobs. Things are very bad on the job scenario. That is the harsh reality.
That is the.
So you mentioned that. You said this is the problem. I was trying, but then I needed money, so I joined what I could. Something like that you can say. And I noticed in GST, Central Excise, you were in Bombay.
Yes,
You mentioned that the department requires you to stay in Bombay area and you wanted to come back to Delhi. And it's very difficult to transfer, which is true.
Ma'am, but that was not the reason. I had settled down in Bombay for 11 months, but I would have preferred had the posting been in a place which is cheaper as compared to Bombay. Mumbai is very expensive for a government servant. That is the reality.
Unless you get a government accommodation, which takes years.
Which I did not. I used to share a flat with my friend, and that too in Borivali. So
I know that local trains.
it used to be a very difficult exercise. Financially, still we used to pay more than 10,000 per head at that time when our salary was around 50,000 rupees, and traveling by the local
I know.
and
Very difficult.
and I used to travel to South Bombay as well as far my job requirements are concerned. So
Where were you posted?
Andheri, ma'am.
So you never
That's
thought
also
of
bad.
going into private sector after FMS? No.
No, sir. My only aim was civil services, and I was quite hopeful. And when CAPF
PhD अब छोड़ दिया बिल्कुल या it's still continuing?
छोड़ दिया था सर, उस समय इसलिए छोड़ दिया था क्योंकि because without quitting that you cannot join a job.
Oh, अच्छा you भी कर रहे
Yes, sir. So I did not want to take any chances. And the second day after I had joined, my JRF result arrived. I had cleared JRF with a very good score, very good rank.
Okay. Lots and lots.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks.
That's-
Thanks.